Here's something nobody talks about. We celebrate people with tattoos, analyze their meanings, ask about their stories, but there's this massive group of people who don't have any, and their psychology is completely misunderstood. The assumption is they're scared of commitment or pain, but that's not it. The real reason cuts deeper, and it shows up in how they approach everything in their lives. People without tattoos don't trust their future selves to still want what their present self wants. Picture yourself at 25 choosing a tribal armband. Now imagine you at 45 explaining it to your kids. That gap? That's what they feel about everything permanent. They've watched their own mind change too many times. The band they'd die for at 16 makes them skip tracks now. The person they swore they'd marry forever became someone they barely recognize. A tattoo is a permanent bet on a temporary self. It's signing a contract for someone who doesn't exist yet. A version of you who might look back and think, "What was I thinking?" People with tattoos believe in a stable core self. People without tattoos remember genuinely believing frosted tips were a good idea. This isn't about being indecisive. It comes from specific formative experiences with irreversible mistakes. Maybe it was a yearbook quote that aged like milk. Maybe watching parents stay trapped in a marriage that died years ago but couldn't be escaped. Maybe seeing one drunk college photo destroy someone's career a decade later. A study in the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that early regret over permanent decisions creates lasting aversion to irreversible commitments. But here's what researchers miss. It's not just about regret. It's about watching the context change around the decision. The tattoo didn't change. The world did. Their values did. And suddenly what felt meaningful became meaningless. Or worse, embarrassing. Their brain learned that permanence is a moving target. You can't predict what future you will need to be. They keep life on a 30-day free trial. They rent instead of buy, freelance instead of going full-time, date for 6 years before maybe considering marriage, and even then it feels too soon. Research in the Journal of Personality links tattoo avoidance to what psychologists call identity flexibility seeking. But that's just academic speak for, "I refuse to be trapped by past me's decisions." These are people who've changed careers 3 times by 35. Not because they're flaky, but because they outgrew the previous version. They keep everything modular. The job that fit at 27 suffocates them at 32. The city that felt exciting becomes exhausting. And they've learned that the only way to survive their own evolution is to never lock the exits. Here's the thing though. This isn't commitment phobia. It's commitment with an asterisk. They commit hard to things that match their current self, but they keep the return policy. And this reveals something deeper about how they experience being human. Most people treat identity like hardware, a fixed system you're born with. But people without tattoos experience identity like software. Constant updates, new features, bug fixes, complete interface redesigns every few years. They remember passionately defending opinions they now find absurd. They remember certainty that dissolved the second they encountered new information. Developmental psychologists call this high openness to experience, but really it's pattern recognition. They've been wrong enough times to know they'll be wrong again. A tattoo is a screenshot of version 1.0. They're on version 7.3, and the updates keep coming. And here's what's fascinating. This isn't just philosophical. Neuroscience research shows that people with high openness have more active prefrontal cortex connectivity, meaning they're constantly integrating new information into existing schemas. Their brains are literally wired to revise. Asking them to make something permanent is like asking them to promise they'll never learn anything that changes their mind. It's not possible. So they signal identity through things with undo buttons. Fashion, haircuts, home decor, bumper stickers they'll peel off in 18 months. These are tattoos that expire. They spend more on presentation than people with actual tattoos, because presentation has to do all the identity work that ink does for others. The complete apartment redecoration every 3 years isn't indecision. It's maintenance. They're curating a self in real time, and curation requires the ability to remove what no longer fits. And yeah, maybe it's exhausting. Being trapped by who they used to be feels like wearing a costume of a person who died. They're not commitment phobic. They're honest about impermanence. This is humility disguised as hesitation. They're the same people who don't burn bridges, keep old journals in case they need them later, refuse to get wisdom teeth pulled until there's actual pain. They're comfortable with ambiguity in a culture that demands certainty. Most people are obsessed with finding themselves, as if the self is a fixed destination you finally arrive at. These people have accepted something harder. The self isn't a place, it's a direction. You don't find it. You keep missing it. And every time you think you've got it figured out, you change again. Maybe that's not a character flaw. Maybe it's just a more accurate understanding of consciousness. We're not static beings having temporary thoughts. We're temporary beings pretending to be static. The people without tattoos just stopped pretending. And in a world where everyone's performing certainty they don't actually feel, that might be the most honest position of all.